guys, spring is just around the corner and we're going to want to paint flowers on everything. Today I'm going to show you 3 different styles of spring florals, from whimsical blooms to bold hibiscus. I'll even show you how to fix those mistakes along the way. So grab your brushes, trust the process, and let's paint some spring vibes. Oh, and if you're itching to paint even more, don't miss out on our upcoming spring workshop. It's the perfect way to dive into all things floral and get a head start on your spring decor. Did I mention there's a Highland cow involved? Signups begin on March 24th, so stay tuned for more details. First up, we're going to be painting a whimsical flower. This is a really great basic floral that you can paint on any door hanger. It was my go-to flower when I first started painting and didn't know where else to start. I was really intimidated by anything that looked realistic, so this kind of flower really felt approachable, and I hope it does for you as well. I'm using a mixed media pad and my custom set of paint brushes with the pink handles, and you're going to start by painting a base coat using a filbert tip brush and a really vibrant color. For this flower, I chose 3 different shades of a reddish coral color, tea berry, which is going to be our base coat color, watermelon slice, which is going to add some depth, and then we're going to mix in a little bit of cotton candy with our tea berry. It's a lighter pink to give that highlighted look. Okay, first take your filbert tip brush and start doing a floral shape. You can make this just a blobby shape if you're not sure what kind of floral shape you want to make. Don't get overly obsessed with making this look like petals. Just make it sort of a bumpy shape going all the way around. Then you're going to dry the project, and once it's dry, you're going to layer on some smaller brush strokes using a darker shade of the watermelon slice using a round tip brush, and you're just going to do some little marks all the way around. I like to kind of start in the middle sometimes and create kind of like 2 little commas that kind of interlock, or 2 little C shapes that kind of face each other and interlock. And then I go around with little brush strokes building outward. You don't want to cover the entire design, just add these little brush strokes and then be done. Rinse out your brush and then pick up a little bit of a lighter shade. So I actually mixed a little bit of the cotton candy with the tea berry here so that it wasn't too bold. The cotton candy was going to be a little too bright, I think, but use your own judgment. If you don't have a lighter shade, just take a little white and mix it with your base coat color, and that should give you about the right color. Now you're just going to layer this on top of, sort of beside those darker strokes that you made. And just a tip here, if it starts to feel a little muddy, you can see here that I did a second flower, and with the second flower, it really did start to get a little muddied up. I kind of started painting those brush strokes before I was patient and letting my paint dry. And so if you're doing this with wet paint on top of wet paint on top of wet paint, you're going to start to get a muddied look. And I'm not saying that that's not a pretty flower. It just depends on the look you're going for. Some flowers look really beautiful when all the colors start to blend together. But if you're a beginner, you're likely in the spot where it's starting to look a little messy and muddy, and you're like, yeah, this isn't the look I was going for. If that happens to you, stop what you're doing, dry the project, and then start again on top of the same flower. If you need to, put down a new base coat of that tea berry color, your base coat color, and then start building in those strokes again. But this time, dry between each color. That way you don't get a muddied effect. You're going to use short, quick strokes for a playful, whimsical effect. Once you're happy with it, put down the brushes and move on. You can also add some leaves here if you like. I just moved on, and we're going to teach you another kind of flower next. The second type of flower that I'm going to teach you is this beautiful, bold hibiscus. I've been drawing hibiscus flowers since I was a kid. I would sit and doodle them on notebooks and papers, coloring books, all the things. I don't know why, but these flowers have always felt very easy for me to draw. They always felt very free-flowing and whimsical. And so I hope you enjoy this little quick tutorial. First, we're going to be working with the colors Carousel Pink and Joyful Pink. The Carousel Pink's a nice bright pink, and the Joyful's a little bit of a deeper pink. And then for the stem in the middle, we're going to use Sunset Gold, and we're going to add some leaves using a green color called New Leaf. And if you want to blend in a lighter green, I also picked out light Hauser green. For this hibiscus flower tutorial, we're going to be using a flat tip brush, but an angle tip brush works really great as well. So you might need to test out each one and decide what works for you. I'm just using about a 1/2 inch wide flat tip brush, and on one side of the flat tip brush, I'm putting the darker color, and on the other side, I'm putting the lighter color. And so you just need to keep in mind when you're painting these petals on to keep that darker color on the outside of the brush and kind of keep it on the outside of the petal at all times. And we're going to start at the base of the petal, go up toward the tip of the petal, and then stop, load your brush with paint again, and then go back up on the opposite side, meeting at the tip of the petal and kind of blending it together. It might look a little messy at first. If it does, just go over it again. If you start to lose that nice blend, feel free to pick up a little bit more of the darker color and go over it once again. This is just like before. If it starts to get muddy, dry your project, rinse your brush out, and start again. Once you get the edge of each petal painted, you're going to take the tip with the darker color and kind of add some little strokes up near the base of the petal coming outward. And that's going to give it a little bit of a flower bursting effect, like it's bursting out of its bloom. You're going to repeat this process on all 5 petals. And then we're going to add the little, what's it called? Like a flower pistil or something. I don't know my flower parts. It's been a while since I took biology class. But I'm painting this with sunset gold with a touch of white and just using a round tip brush. You can add this going out any direction from the flower that you like. So just pick a direction that feels like it would naturally pop out for you. And then we're going to add some cute little leaves. This can be kind of tricky adding these in after your petals are done. So just be sure to use a small round tip brush where you can kind of get in between the petals and kind of go up next to them. So you want to make it look like the leaf is disappearing behind the petals. These petals can be very simple. They don't need to be overly done. The last type of flower I want to teach you how to paint is the pointed petal flower. And we're going to be doing this one with 2 colors. Purple Cow and Lavender. And if I haven't mentioned it, all the paint colors that I'm mentioning today are Deco Art paint colors. For this type of pointed petal flower, I'm going to be using an angle tip brush because we're going to put the darker color again on the toe of the brush, and that is going to be the lavender color. And so you might want to use like a flat surface. Here I'm using the lid of my paint palette or ice cube tray and I'm just smoothing it back and forth, and that kind of blends the color so that before I go to my project, I know my color's already blended on my brush. So if you struggle with getting the color to blend on your project, try this little tip. You can also use a foam paper plate. For this one, instead of starting at the base of the petal, I'm starting at the tip of the petal and pulling it down toward the center of the flower. This can be a little tricky. You kind of have to practice which direction to pull the brush and how to hold the brush. If you struggle with that and you found that you had more success starting at the base of the petal when working with that hibiscus flower, feel free to flip it around and paint from the base of the petal up toward the tip. Whatever works for you. You're going to have to like practice this, try different ways of doing it before you really get what works for you. So I just created these petals going all the way around. And then once I had completed all 6 petals, I let it dry. And then again, I took my sunset gold and that white mixture that we used on the hibiscus flower, and I just dabbed it in the middle using a round tip brush to create the center of the flower. You could do the center of your flower in a different color if you prefer, whatever works for you. It's just paint. So if you don't like the shape of something, if you don't like the way it looks, feel free to just start over. Paint over what you've already done. The pro tip here is to dry it before you start painting something else over it. Anytime you dry it, you can just start all over and paint again. Don't forget to add some greenery, some vines, some little sprigs of green like leaves coming out the side, something that's going to make it look alive. I didn't do that on all of these flowers for the sake of time, but I hope you can see that by adding those to that hibiscus flower, it really brought it to life and gave it a lot more depth. And there you have it, 3 different styles of spring florals, perfect for any door or spring project. I hope this inspired you to grab a brush and start painting. If you liked this tutorial, I'd love to see your version. Tag me on social media or share it in our Painters Clubhouse community. And if you're struggling with drawing flowers, because I did freehand a lot of these, have no fear. Our door hanger templates and door hanger wood blanks always have the flowers on them already. So you're really just going to be applying the techniques that I've taught here inside a shape that's already created for you. So whether you're using the template and tracing that on something, or you're using a wood blank and painting on something that's already got the lines etched in it, this is going to be made super simple using our designs. And hey, if you're as excited about spring as I am, don't miss out on our upcoming spring workshop. We're going to be painting more beautiful florals and spring designs together with a Highland cow. And it's a great way to jumpstart your creativity and decorate for the season. Check out the link in the description for all the details. I can't wait to paint with you.